Good evening, welcome to another video in the Artful Coder series. Tonight we're going to be looking at our clean architecture, building the UI for our clean architecture solution. So we've got a simple add car, we've hooked up to database, built all the other layers, but now we want a way of entering cars via UI. Now there is lots of options you can choose from, like React, Angular, there's Blazor, which Microsoft offer, which is good. So we're going to go with Blazor. So if you right click, add new project, and we're going to choose Blazor server app, click next. Now what we're going to call this is cars UI, click next, and it's .NET 7 because it is, at the time of recording, we had just .NET 7 on, click create. And we're going to need to do a couple of things here. So we're going to create a new folder called add, new folder called core. I'm going to create a couple of folders in here, add, new folder pages. I'm going to say add, new folder cars. And what we're going to do is add a razor component. So we'll just leave that as it is at the moment. It's a razor component. We're going to choose on here cars, add, and shall we just run that to see what we get? So debug, okay, so it's going to run up now. We've got nothing else there. There you go, that's because it's run the wrong one up. Apologies, I had that. So let's say run on there and do debug, start new instance. Okay, so what we're going to get. So this is our Blazor UI, just a simple plain app. So let's create our app with the option to use with using our use cases. So what you'll notice, components are called cars.razor. So in old school days of ASP.x, you'd have code behind. And what that means is you're taking the code, this block here, and paste it into a separate file. So we're going to be doing that, and the way to have the code behind file, if we click up here and do add, new item, you have to give it the same name as your view or your razor file, and then what it's going to complain about is it's not a partial class. So, and let's see what happens now. So if we just run that up, always get in the habit of checking at regular intervals to make sure it still works. Yeah, so we've got a UI, we've added a class, it's not doing a lot. So let's tweak this a bit. We want it to be our nice little application. It's going to share nav menu. So let's just leave that bottom one in and take that out and do that. And we're going to call this cars. Do that, save that. And on our main layout, whereas it's index, got to remember it is index.razor. So let's do here, let's just leave there. So if we run that back up now and see what we get. So on a UI, let's go debug, start new instance. Okay, so we've got a plus symbol which is pretty loose, but if we do that, nothing at this address. So how do we fix that? Well, it's quite simple really, because you have to tell it what route the razor page is sitting on. And that is simply done by using the at page lowercase, and that's a directive. So cars, and if we just save that, let's give it a page title as well. Page title equals cars, and we want this as a H1. Okay, so let's take that out. We don't want that in there. So let's build this out so at least we get something that kind of looks like what we're after. So let's say row, and then div class equals col. And we're just going to have in here a single row called h2 add car. This is going to form up a form, and then we're just going to do that. So div class equals row, and we're going to focus on that insert element. So div class equals col. Okay, so we want div equals form dash group, create a label for, and this is make, and then we're going to have a type of input text, which is a Blazor, and we're just going to at bind value equals at make. And we're going to say class equals form dash control. Okay, it's complaining because we don't have that in our code behind. So we look at the error list. Doesn't exist in the current context. So what does that mean? So when our pub partial class, what we need to do is we need to say private string make. That's going to be getter and setter. And that should now, there you go. So it's detected it, so it's detected. So when you add a variable to your razor, you need to add it to the back there. So I'm just going to replicate a couple more fields, and we're just going to do something very clever this. So we'll just do that. Model. And this is just doing for the essence of time, so this video isn't too long. And what we're going to say up here is private string model. And what we need to do next is we need to have our logic in here. So we've got a few things we need to do. So we've built up our simple razor page there. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to try and keep this as easy as possible. So the thing we're going to add as well is a button, because we do need to have a button to submit the data. So let's just take that out, and we say input, and it's think it's at change. So we have this here. I'll say handle at new car, and it's going to complain because we don't have it defined, so we're going to define that now. So let's create a detected did async void, because we're not returning anything, void, and it's just going to do that. So that's just basically what it's going to do. So this is where we need to kind of mirror our models, what we're adding in, what we're passing in. So effectively expects JSON in a certain format. So we're going to go one step further. So if we look at this, cars, we kind of want this to look the same. So we're going to borrow all of this, and we're going to go into a core, add new folder. So models, and we're going to do add another new folder called cars, like that, and we're just going to do add new item, and we're going to call this cars BTO. Okay, and in here what we're going to have is that. We don't need these attributes on here, so we're just going to call it that. And just for the essence of time, okay, we won't make it nullable, we'll say it has to be in there. So create the first model. So what we've got here is we've got our model. So what we should be able to do now is just do try, and we'll put it in exception, try catch, so you can be logging exception, things like that. There you go. So we want to say var new car equals type of car DTO. And if we just do that, I'm going to say make, and okay, so let's just correct that and do model. Okay, so we have a very simple, we're starting to scaffold our code in that. Now, what we want to do is you could have your validation function here, so you can have that, but we're not going to handle that for the essence of this video. So, what do we need to do next? Well, we need some more logic. So what we've got is we've got a model, we've got a simple page up. So if we run this now, debug, start new instance, what we should find is if we do cars, there you go, nothing too fantastic. We've got a mistake there. So what we need to do is go back to here, it's type of input. Type equals button. Said that. I hate when Visual Studio does that. Say button. There you go. We're also going to make a class of BTM. I'll bootstrap pass for you there. Okay, so there's a bit more, quite a bit more to cover. So what we're going to do, try and keep this as simple as possible. All we want to do is add a car via the UI. So we've got a page, we've got a function. How do we actually get it to post up to our server? So the next thing we need to do is we need to create some interfaces to handle certain stuff. And this is just so that we know what we've got there. So let's add some more folders. Let's say add new folder, interfaces, and let's say common folder. So anything that's shared, we'll just put in common. I'm going to do add class, it's interface, because we want to dependency inject certain bits so we can do testing. So IUI HTTP client. And this is going to have very simple methods. So the first one is public pass, and it's going to be a HTTP response message, and we're just going to do post async, and it's going to pass in string URL. It is post, so we'll just do HTTP content, and it's going to be nullable, so we don't want to have that. New data. Okay, and the next thing we then need to do is we basically need to create some more stuff as well. So let's just get it to add a car. Let's just say if we went with a bare bones how do we get it to add a car? So what we're going to want next is we're going to want some interfaces for your services and all of that as well. So what we've got is we're going to have some return models. No, we're not. We're going to do what? Let's have a look. So let's create a service. Let's do a service. And then we've got that there. So UHG client, yep. Okay. Let's have a look. So we've got our interface, UHBT client, and then we're going to do pass that into there. And we're going to want, okay. So I think what the best thing next is to cover, because I'll make sure we get this right. Let's get this right. So okay, so we've got an interface of that, and we now need some handlers. So handlers are effectively a way of we're going to overwrite the HTTP client. Now there is a reason we're doing this, because what we want to do is we want to have our nice class there. So let's do common again, and let's create add new class, and this is UI HTTP clients. So this is going to extend the UI, and it's also going to extend HTTP client. Apologise. The HTTP client, and it's also going to extend from I. There you go. So, do we get any bugs? No, because in our interface for that, in here, that should have done that. That should have complained about that. Okay, anyway, so we're actually going to try and build this right in. So we've got that, so let's say that. So that's saying it's got to have that method there. So it's got to have this method in our interface. So that's what we're bringing back. So let's go and create a service. It's the best place to show you to put this. So we're not anything about it, so we can keep it simple. And we're going to go create our service. So let's just keep this as simple as possible. So services. Do we put that under core? I think we do. So let's create a new folder called new folder. This is there. And we'll create a new folder in here called services. I'm going to go create a new interface in here and call this iCars service. Okay. And in our cars service, this is where we start putting our logic in. So in our cars service interface, we will have our methods. So what we're going to have, well, we're going to pass in, and this is where our DTO will need something there. So we're going to pass in public task, and we're just going to create HTTP response message. We're not going to override that. And if I do that, let's do that. So we're not going to override that, and we're just going to say add car AC. Yep, and it's going to pass in a type of I car, DTO. So have we got our cars DTO? Oh, we haven't. That's why we're not passing it in. So let's create a new folder called cars. I'll create a brand new interface in here. Call it by car DTO. Yeah, that's. Oh, it would help if I spelled that right. Apologies. Scroll mini cones sometimes. Let's have a look. Okay, let's just rename that. And our DTO wants inherit, so we can have all of those in there. We don't need that, so let me take that out. We could use the attributes we wanted to, so just do Control C and go to iCar DTO, paste those in there. You're then going to grab the interface because you need it down here, and we should be all good. Okay, so then in our iCar service, we should now have, let's have a look. So iCar DTO, come on. And we don't need a cancellation token. And do that. Still not finding it, so let's go and have a look why it's not finding that. So let's bring the UI in and drop that into there. Do that. Do using. There you go. That's all we're going to add at this stage. So now we need to wire up our service. So we have an interface for a service, but we don't actually have a service. So we need to create a service. So services, pages, and let's add new full class. Let's create a class called cars service. Add, and then this wants to implement that. So we're going to do that into here and do. And it's going to complain because we got that method, so we go back to a service, and we're just going to borrow that. I'm going to go back to a service, paste that in, but take that out. Okay, so not return a value. So we've got a service. So let's wire that up into our front end. So we're going to create another file for configure service. It's quite a nice way to do it. So let's just minimize this. And let's go to create. So add class. And this is going to be called configure and type bigger devices add. And the namespace it's going to sit in is Microsoft.extensions. There you go. And it's going to be static class, has to be static. And this is a very scaled down version just to illustrate the simplicity, just to illustrate the core concept. So again, you want a static method, iService collection. Let's call this, I don't like that. So add UI services, and this service collection services, and I configuration. Yes, we do, because we've got to add our HTTP client. So let's go to OGI services, I configuration, configuration. And this is just going to return services. There you go. So let's plumb this into our app. So what we're going to do is we're going to call down here. We don't want, we'll leave that in, but we'll take it out. We don't, well, we'll leave it in for now, but we will take it out later video. Dot, dot, dot. And it should be at UI services, and it's builder dot configuration. There you go. So what this means is going to pass instance configuration to our class, because what we need to do next is we need to actually add our HTTP client in. So let's say var app name equals configuration dots. It's a value, it's not a connection string, it's a value. And we just say type string. And we're going to say, and this works with Azure, you can actually override it. Okay. And then we need to say services dot add scope of type IUI HTTP client, and then we're going to say SP equals new UI HTTP client, and we're going to set, we're not going to do that, work that in a minute, and we're going to say put that, so say base address. Okay, it's not liking that. Why is it not liking that? Oh, you can't implement an interface. It has to be the raw. There you go. So base. Could not find it. So let's go and have a look where it is. So it's this one here. Sometimes if you copy it in and it's base address, and this is where you say equals, so it's new URI, and it is app name, and we should just be able to do that. There you go, you've now got your client injected. So this is what I was saying in the config. So you're going to want to put the website address of your, let's just do that now. So base API URL. Let's just leave it to that for a minute. We'll come back to that. So we've got that there. The next thing we need to do is add the service in. So let's say services dot add scope, and it's iCars service, and it's going to be a iCars service. Okay, if you give it, okay. So with all that in mind, this is a very scaled down version of it. We're not going to worry about trying to do anything too involved. We're just trying to cover the basics. So the next thing you need to do is inject the car's service into your Razor code behind file or your class. And the way you do that is using the inject attribute. Okay, so let's try that again. That should just work. Okay, so it's brought that in, and it's in part there. Take that out. So we're going to say, so let's have a look. Right, okay, so what do we want to do? We want to say private by cars as cars service, and we do get a setter. So what does it mean now? So it will simply be a case of just going into your service code and making sure you've got all of your code mapped out. So we're going to see it a bit better though, because we need to now inject in our service. This is where you need to inject this in. So within the constructor of your service, just go find a car service. So what we're going to say is we want to say public. Let's create a read-only. So private read-only IUI client HTTP client, and we're just going to inject this. What that means is the entity frame, the .NET code will create that, get that created object and inject it in here. So let's just do our service, and all we're going to do is going to do that, pass down to there. Awesome. So we have a message that passes a DTO across. So if we just do try, do that, and this is a very cut down version, again, like I keep saying this, but we'll just wrap an exception and we'll do something else. So what do we need to do now is we just need to simply call our API endpoint or call our service. So we need to do let's call this add our response equals new HTTP response message. And the next line of code is we need to get the Java JSON for it. So JSON content equals new string content, and we're going to say JSON, we need to bring this in, Sarah Blazor, and let's see if we can just bring it in. So using system.text.json. There you go. So to bring it's under that namespace if you go system.text.json. So JSON serialize, so we want to take the object, convert it into a string, into text to pass across. And we are doing of type DTO, and we're passing in there is DTO, and then we're saying encoding, coding. So we need the encoding namespace. So we're going to want that. So let's do using system.text, and we want, so that's where that exists. So then what we need to do is we need to say, we want to set as UTF-8, and the content type is that, so it's found it. So what we should get is response equals HTTP client dot post async, and it's dollar API slash cars service, and we're just going to pass that into there and say JSON content, and that. So what we're going to do is we want to say we want async on there, and we're going to just put this out here, and it's complaints are up to anything. So what we're going to do is a return bish. Okay. Response message, not request. There you go. Okay, so that is pretty much it all set up. So what we need to do is we need to run up our web API. We need to grab the address. So the address is this. So we'll go into there, we'll stop that. So the address is what I've got here. So let's go to app settings and do that. And that's all you should need. Okay, so let's have a recap. So we created our own class which extends HTML, which implements that. And all we've got here is post async. So now car services, we just replicated that. So now it's complained because we're not awaiting this. Okay, that's better. Right. There you go. So let's just recap. So create a razor page. If we just run this application up, do debug. Let's run the web API up first. We didn't call it, that's why. Sorry, there is another bit we need to do. Is in here. Is we need to say cars. And down here we need to say dots. Done. It and we'll await it because say sync. There you go. So let's have a look. So we've plumbed in our iCar service, which is handled by the configuration services. We've put all our bits in there, so let's run our web. Let's put our web API on a debug. Start new instance. Okay, so this is our web API there. We've tested it works with a database. So when you've got a project running, you can go in Solution Explorer, debug, start new instance. What this should do is build it. There you go. So that's now there. If we do cars, if we say BMW Model 2, and the button's not visible, doesn't seem to do anything. So is it actually adding our cars? No, it's not. So let's have a look what we're doing wrong. So let's go back to our razor page. Back to our razor page. Let's go back to where is it? Razor. So same type button. On click handle as new on click. Oh god. I do apologise people. And let's call this BTN. Just do success. And it would help if not instead of on changes on click. Okay, so we'll spot there, Kevin. So let's do that again. Let's do debug, start new instance, run our web API up. So all the UI is doing is calling this web API. So let's go back into Solution Explorer, do Cars UI, debug, start new instance. Right, so that's our Blazor app. Okay, so BMW 296 series. And click. Has it actually added it? No. So what do you do next? You debug to see what's going on. So let's have a look. So injection of service, which is doing that. That is doing that. That's passing up to there. And that's passing it up to a provider. Okay, so this is where you start to go like this. We just want to see if it's even getting this far. So with it still running, So it has. Still not doing it, so let's have a look. So is it not picking up our JSON? So let's go into here. And what we do is we just do that again. Come down to here. It seems to suggest it's trying to do it. So why is it not working? Why is it that it's not working? Because that should. So let's go to our web API. This is where what you can do now is go core services, car service. Is this getting called when we click that button? Our car request. Because are we sending that back? So let's have a look. So click that. Let's see if it's even get as far as a service. It is. So why is it not adding it to our database? Down to here. Let's see if it comes down to here. Because, are you ready for this? Make equals that. Okay, so do that again. So it's definitely hitting our web API, it's doing that. Let's see if it's doing valid new car. Okay, into there. I want to see if it's doing that. Do that. So it's bailing on that. That's not even getting there. Let's try that again. Just want to see what it's trying to do. Continue. And just give me, let's have a look. We'll come back to that in a Right, so let's have a look. So if we do continue, well, okay, yeah. So what we can see here is we've got null. So it's values we're not passing back. So what we're going to do is this is actually quite easy to fix. So what we're going to do is this is where your error message eventually would come in. So what we're going to do is we're going to say equals string dot empty and the same with reg number. And I'm going to go up through here. There you go. So let's just run that back up. No changes. So do start. And this is where eventually we'll add our unit testing in. So start new instance. Then do cars UI. Start new instance. Okay. So let's go to cars. BMW 289 series. Click add. It's going to go on there. Okay, so it looks like it's doing that. So if we go check a database, there you go. So you can see there that it's added two because we clicked the button too quickly. And that's where you are. So you can see there we've created a simple UI using Blazor. We need to change the style up so you see the button text, but then you might expand it. And again, you could put alpha 123, click it once, and we can see this is calling our API. It's going to add the car, returns a new ID, and then you process it at the other end. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've really enjoyed this video. This is just the bare bones, and what I may do is put the other bits behind it ready to show you how to do that. And yeah, hope you enjoy the video. Cheers, thank you.